This is the muddy, backwoods Tallahatchie River, where a weighted body was found, alleged to be that of young Emmett Till.
I saw a hole, which I presumed was a bullet hole, and I could look through that hole and see daylight on the other side. And I wondered, was it necessary to shoot him?
Here is Money, Mississippi, the home of Roy Bryant. It was here that the Chicago Negro boy, Emmett Till, is alleged to have paid unwelcome attention to Roy Bryant's most attractive wife.
When white women was on the streets, you had to get off of the street. That was a way of life. And all a white woman would have to say was, that nigger kind of looked at me, or sassed me. So we're talking about a way of life that in this part of the country that was enforced by law.
This was the home of Mose Wright. It was from this shack the state alleges Emmett Till was taken by Roy Bryant and J.W. Milam.
The house was as dark as 1,000 midnights. You couldn't see. It was like a nightmare. I mean, someone come and stand over you with a pistol in one hand, a flashlight, and you're 16 years old. This is a terrifying experience.
The Till case held the whole system up for inspection by the rest of the country and by the rest of the world. It was the beginning of the focusing on the problems between the races in the Deep South that culminated in the ultimate civil rights battles of the rest of the 50s and into the 60s.
I think black people's reaction was so visceral, and I think it was probably more than anything else in terms of the mass civil rights movement, the spark that launched it. Everybody knew we were under attack, and that attack was symbolized by the attack on a 14-year-old boy.
By the time Mamie received her son's body back in Chicago, 2 weeks after she had kissed him goodbye, Emmett's murder was front-page news. His body was taken to a funeral home owned by A.A. Rayner, who had promised Mississippi authorities that he would keep the casket nailed shut. When Mamie Till asked him to open it up, Rayner refused.
I asked him, Mr. Rayner, do you have a hammer? I said, I haven't signed anything, and I haven't made any promises. And if you can't open that box, I can.
We opened the casket. There was a terrible odor that came from the body because the body had been in the water and began to deteriorate. Mr. Rayner he told the mother, he said, if I was you, I wouldn't look at this body, but this body is in such a horrible condition. She said, Mr. Rayner, I want to see my son.
And I decided then that I would start at his feet and work my way up, maybe gathering strength as I went. I paused at his midsection because I knew he would not want me looking at him. But I saw enough that I knew he was intact. I kept on up until I got to his chin, and then I was forced to deal with his face. I saw that his tongue was choked out. I noticed that the right eye was lying on midway his cheek. I noticed that his nose had been broken, like somebody took a meat chopper and chopped his nose in several places. As I kept looking, I saw a hole, which I presumed was a bullet hole. And I could look through that hole and see daylight on the other side. And I wondered, was it necessary to shoot it? Mr. Rayner asked me, he said, do you want me to touch the body up? I said, no, Mr. Rayner, let the people see what I've seen. I was just willing to bear it all. I think everybody needed to know what had happened to Emmett Till.